We don't know how to talk to people. It's no surprise when the average age someone gets their phone has been dropping year after year. With the average age someone gets their phone, in the US at least, being 11 and a half years old. So the beginning of 6th grade. And with these phones, the average American spends 4.5 hours a day on their phone. And the average Gen Z, 6 hours a day. With a huge percentage of teenagers saying 8 hours a day or more. And with all this screen time, we all as a population are spending a whole bunch of time on social media apps to be more connected. But it's obviously not working because 30% of Americans aged 18 to 34 report feeling lonely every day or several days a week. And of everyone who has ever felt lonely, and when asked on how these people deal with loneliness, just 38% of them said that they reach out to friends and family and instead go back to Netflix or social media. But guess what? This doesn't have to be doom and gloom, because this video is going to show scientifically backed evidence that will make you better at talking to people and making more friends. Let's get into it. You were most likely not born socially handicapped. You've got to understand this. There are actual conditions out there that births people socially handicapped. Or there are certain injuries that can socially handicap a person. You know, if you ever heard the story with the guy who had the metal bar go through his head and survived, but then because it went through a certain part of his brain that dealt with emotions and socializing, he became a terrible, much different person than he was before. But most people give themselves the identity of being socially challenged or socially handicapped, although I don't think anyone ever says that, are just plain wrong. Humans are an incredibly social species, with each brain coming equipped, pre-built with lots of coding around socializing. The most clear example of this is babies learning to speak from just observation. A baby can just be plopped down in a room with just parents in the room conversating with each other. And because the brain is so good at picking up patterns, I have a 2-year-old cousin and she's never been taught any words in her life. And of course she knows how to say mama and dada, but that's usually parents specifically saying mama, dada, you know? But they never say cat. And when the family cat was going around the house, she says, cat, cat, cat. I'm like, huh, that's crazy. I asked them if they ever taught her how to say that. She said, no, she just figured out how to do that. And so if babies can learn communication skills, then your bad communicating probably has nothing to do with being inherently bad. But instead, you've been out of the game a while, and you need some practice. You need observation. Have you ever seen little kids interact before? Again, I've got a 7-year-old cousin this time, and we were on a family vacation in a pool, and she would just walk up to parents with kids around her age and just say, you want to play a game? What? Who just walks up to a dad and a child and just asks to play a game? That's crazy, but she did it flawlessly. And that's because she's been doing this for years and it doesn't feel weird or awkward for her. Many kids are struggling with socializing more though with the invention of tablets and Kindles, which is an easy way to get a lot of fun without having to talk to people and engage with people. But the reason that people get less good at communicating once they get these little rectangles is because they then put a lot of their time into stuff like texting or social media. And we're all S-tier texters, that's for sure. But that hasn't transitioned very well over into actual communicating because they're basically two completely different worlds. Because when you're texting, you miss out on the body language, the eye contact, the tone, the speed of speech, sarcasm, facial expressions, and more that are very prevalent and important in a conversation. And a lot of these things are obvious. I mean, we would obviously understand that this is not a happy face, but other things are more subtle and take time and practice to understand and take note of. So get to practicing, right? Well, yes, but I'm sure many of you, even if you say you're going to practice, aren't actually gonna do it because it can be pretty scary sometimes. You feel like a noob and you don't want to embarrass yourself. But did being a noob stop you in video games? You would spend hours slaying baddies in order to get a slightly better helmet, that better sword, that better charisma skill. No one could see your face or know who you were. But you could just do that in real life. The stakes don't have to be high. I'm not telling you to do anything crazy. You can start out really simple. Like you walk up to a stranger and you ask for directions to someplace that you don't care about. There's no stakes here. You walk up to someone, you say, hi, my phone died. I was just wondering if you could just direct me to the nearest Chick-fil-A. I don't know why you'd say Chick-fil-A. Probably pick something better than that if your phone's dead. But they say, oh yeah, there's actually one really close. You just go straight here for about 1,000 feet. You take a right and and then you continue down the road, and on your left you should have a Chick-fil-A. And you're like, oh, thank you so much. You have a good day. And then they say, yeah, you too. Then you go. You may feel more comfortable just watching videos on YouTube, teaching you how to be a better communicator and how to get better at talking to people, how to get better at making friends. They're only gonna get you so far. I remember hearing this comparison somewhere, and they compared watching videos to riding a bike. What's the point of watching videos on how to ride a bike if once you start riding a bike, you fall over anyways? Like, you could watch some videos on how to ride a bike to figure out that you gotta pedal like this, and that you want both hands on the bars, and how to set yourself up for a better balance. But after that might take you like an hour. But if you keep spending hours and hours watching these, you're not gonna learn anything new. After an hour, why not just go out there and start falling down anyways? And start getting your hands and knees and elbows a little dirty. When I started to learn how to ride a bike, it was a 3-year-long process. And I truly mean that. Every summer, and sometimes throughout the year, I was learning how to ride a bike. It took me from 8 to 11 years old to do this, because I refuse to fall. What's up, dogs? I would continuously use training wheels, or watch a video on how to start riding a bike for the first time. And then, whenever it said at the end of the video that you just have to go out there and ride it, I would quickly click off of that video, instead of just going out there on my bike and falling a few times and not being too scared. It took my grandmother basically forcing me to ride my bike for me to learn. I'm grateful she forced me. Funny enough, it was actually 2 times. The first time she forced me, I fell down in the grassy backyard, and I ran upstairs to the highest room in our house and just sat behind the bed and just sat there for an hour doing nothing. Kinda cringe looking back on it. Anyways, the second time she forced me, I fell twice in the grassy area of our backyard and twice on the road. Then after that, I was smooth sailing. I haven't actually fallen on my bike since. So what should have taken me 30, 45, maybe 60 minutes to learn, took me 1,576,800 minutes to learn. And so that's what you gotta do. You just gotta go out there and start conversating with more people. You're gonna go through the growing pains, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna feel awkward. But in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you're gonna see major progress from where you once were. All it takes is from a day-to-day basis, you have an opportunity to talk to someone, you take that opportunity. The next week, when you have 2 opportunities to talk to people, you take those opportunities. And over time, progress is gonna keep scaling up. But talking is only one part of a conversation. Check out this video right here, where I explain in detail what you should do to accomplish the other part of a conversation. And don't forget to subscribe, as I'm a small channel and I can take all the help I can get. And don't forget to ditch the training wheels, start asking for directions, and think better. I'll catch you over in this video right here.